Ed Buck trial. He's a white Democratic donor accused of administering a fatal dose of drugs to two black men in 2017-2019. The trial will resume tomorrow. Joining us now to tell us what's been happening in the courtroom is Jasmyne Cannick. She, of course, has been involved with this story from the beginning. Jasmyne, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It's been a long time getting to this particular point. When Jamel Moore was found dead, there were a lot of people, a lot of Democrats, white folks, a lot of gay white folks, real quiet. Nobody wanted to say anything, do anything. But it took a second black man dying in Ed Buck's apartment for folks to realize, oh, there might be a problem now. He's on trial.
Absolutely, and it's so good to see you, Roland. I just want to always just say thank you to you because you believed from day one and kept this story on all of your platforms, so thank you.
Appreciate it.
But you're exactly right. Not much has changed. We are not hearing much here in LA from the mainstream media or LGBT advocate groups or Democratic Party or anyone, and it's very telling. Friday was definitely the hardest day for all of us. We sat through. Ed Buck had over 2,400 videos of him torturing, injecting. Black men with methamphetamine, unconscious black men that he was sexually assaulting. It was so incredibly brutal on Friday, having to watch video after video of this black men with nooses around their necks. Some black men who didn't even know they were being recorded, others who asked for him not to record them or for him not to put their face in the video. So there's no denying now exactly who Ed Buck is, even for me, right? So I went back because I wasn't even really sure when I started covering this. It was August 10th, 2017. Jamel Moore died July 27th, 2017. And I knew he was a bad person then, but now we all know exactly how bad he is, and it was way worse than we could have ever imagined. Looking at the videos, reading the text messages that he sent to people. I mean, this man is Jeffrey Dahmer 2.0. And it's really sad that people don't know about this case. They're unaware of it. I even had a council member here in LA refer to his victims as just disadvantaged black hustlers. The only one who was doing the hustling was Ed Buck. He loved to make these men unconscious and to take advantage of them, slip them GHB and take advantage of them. And so, we didn't have court today. We resume court tomorrow. Over this next week, we're going to hear a lot of testimony from his victims. And so I'm sure it's going to be even more horrific.
He also hired two black attorneys to defend him. Clearly, that was by design.
He did, and I gotta say, Christopher Darden and Ludlow Creary will not be getting any invites to the barbecue ever again in life. We say in Domino's, right, Roland, all money isn't good money. It's very interesting watching Ed Buck's pasty white butt sitting between these two hefty black gentlemen in court who are doing his bidding, and their whole entire defense is around AIDS, right? So their defense is that Jamel Moore died of AIDS, full-blown AIDS, as they like to say, and not the methamphetamine that was injected into him. And that Timothy Dean was living on borrowed time and had a heart condition, and that's what killed him, not the methamphetamine that was injected into him. I'm so ashamed of Christopher Darden, but I'm not surprised because remember, he did take Eric Holder as a client, the man who killed Nipsey Hussle. And he only dropped that case because he couldn't handle the death threats that he was receiving. He's been on the wrong side of a lot of battles lately. He continues to lose in court. I hope that streak continues. His mini-me Ludlow Creary is no better. They are definitely earning their $1 million+ fee that they are getting from Ed Buck. But it is really embarrassing to see these two black men use the HIV status of Ed Buck's black victims against them. It is horrific.
in terms of, I talked about how folks were so silent on this, and Ed Buck was a major Democratic donor, and the state Democratic Party was extremely reluctant to say anything because they wanted to keep getting his checks. And even after Jamel Moore was killed, he was still giving money, and they were still accepting money.
Sure was. And I got to tell you, as an elected member of the Democratic Party, publicly elected here in California, they still haven't said much, haven't said anything at all, nothing about justice for the victims. Everyone sort of has their head buried in the sand. What was very interesting to me during the testimony on Friday was that the prosecutor showed a text exchange that Ed Buck had with one of his victims, where he was trying to set up one of his party and play sessions. And in the text message, Buck says, "Oh, I'm getting ready for tomorrow. I got an endorsement panel." And it just made me think again, here is this man who's showing up at all these Democratic fundraisers, all of these events with Democrats, and he's either coming or going from shooting men up with meth, drugging men, and doing all of these things. We have people in LA who refuse to acknowledge that they took his money, but returned Harvey Weinstein's money to the Time's Up Foundation without even being asked. And so, again, I think it just speaks volumes about the lives of Black people, the lives of Black men. And it's really, really sad because Ed Buck was a serial predator. He was a serial predator. There was a point in the trial where the prosecution showed that Jamel Moore died on July 27th, and within 2 weeks, back to back to back, every single day, Ed Buck had a different young man coming and going from his house. I remember one particular thing, Roland, that I will never forget. It was either Christopher Darden or Ludlow Cleary, but the defense for Ed Buck was cross-examining Ed Buck's next-door neighbor, who said that all of the mostly African-American men he saw leaving seemed to always be in a stupor or under the influence of something. And the defense said, well, could it not be that they're under the influence of anything, but that they just have AIDS? They literally said that in court.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy there. Jasmyne Cannick, we certainly appreciate you giving us this breakdown, and then we'll be following what happened in this trial.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Roland. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Jasmyne.
Thanks.
All right, folks, get an update on Haiti, where the elections minister